Watching TV has changed over time. Streaming has become the new norm. That's why Golden State Media Concepts television podcast dives headfirst to the world of cord cutting. Want to be on the loop of what's hot in Netflix? Or if it's not a preference, what about original shows in Hulu? We've got you covered. Join us as we fill in the blank and talk about movies to stream and what show you should be binging. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast.
All right. Jack, you ready? Turn that up. Okay, hello, and welcome to the GSMC Television Podcast. We are part of the mighty GSMC Podcast Network, and I'm your recently released from the institution to be socially distanced due to COVID-19 host, Howard Fletcher. And I'm joined as always by my trusted engineer, Jack the Black Pug. Say hello, Jack. And we are thrilled and elated to be here with you once again. If you are new to the show, listen, thank you for giving us a try. We know you have a whole bunch of podcasts out there you can choose from. We are so glad you chose us. We aim to please, so stick around. I'm sure you're going to hear something that you like. We want to keep you coming back. And if you're a return listener, if you are an alum of the show, you know how we feel about you. You are truly the reason that I am here, and the reason that Jack's here too. We have a jam-packed show for you today. RuPaul.
Yes.
He's ready to sashay Shantae on Drag Race once again. CBS, their Hannibal ripoff has been renewed. I'll let you know what shows are returning to ABC this fall. Now, Variety has chosen its winners and losers for 2019-2020. We're going to go over them. And we do have the count of now I have a list of the top 100 shows ranked in order of viewership last season. I am not going to go over the entire 100 list, but I will go over the top 25 and let you know what I think about some of them. And as you know, I always bring you breaking news. And at the end of the show this week, I will recap season 5, episode 4 of Showtime's Billions. So let's start out with some breaking news. Nat Geo, that's the National Geographic Channel. They announced a couple of weeks into the coronavirus production shutdown that the premiere date of its Genius Aretha series would be delayed from its original Memorial Day slot, which would be this weekend we're going into. By the time you get this episode, Memorial Day will have been yesterday. Well, now the network, which is part of the Mouse House, it's owned by Disney, they revealed that the series, which stars Cynthia Erivo, it's about the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, it's going to premiere sometime this fall. The announcement was made as part of a Nat Geo virtual upfront presentation. Genius Aretha is still in production, and when concerns about the pandemic caused it to follow what almost every production did and shut down, they decided to move it back. Nat Geo has also ordered a whole slew of new and returning unscripted shows. Among them is a new series called Breaking Bobby Bones. That's the working title, at least right now, which will see the American Idol mentor, I guess that's Bobby Bones, travel to a far-flung destination across the country to find people with unique jobs, skills, hobbies, and abilities before attempting to perform those same tricks himself. Okay, if you're a fan of Bobby Bones, I guess you'll tune into that. Now, in the category of shows that are going to be returning to Nat Geo, you have the third season of Gordon Ramsay, Uncharted, a second season of Running Wild with Bear Grylls, which I haven't seen yet, only clips of, and the sophomore outing, again, the second season, of Brain Games with Keegan-Michael Key of Key and Peele fame. Now, I've seen none of these returning shows. I don't watch Nat Geo that often because I would if they had more documentaries about animals and stuff and different cultures that we're all familiar. You know, that's what National Geographic, at least the magazine, kind of built its brand on. But most of it is this stuff, this kind of reality show stuff, which I don't necessarily watch. So they gave a little, in this article, this little description of these 3 returning shows. So I thought it would be interesting to review them, at least for me, because I don't watch them. All right, so first I'm going to start with Brain Games with Keegan-Michael Key. Keegan-Michael Key is back as host of an all-new season of National Geographic's highly entertaining series, Brain Games. Taking a Hollywood twist to the classic mind-bending format, the new season will challenge some of the world's biggest celebrities to interactive games and social experiments to reveal the why behind the wow. Okay, that's all that's in this release. I know even less. I feel like I know even less about this show than I did going in. If you guys watch this show and you like it, especially if you like it, and you want to tell me about it, please email me at Podcast Howard. I would love to hear, podcasthoward@gmail.com. Last show, someone told me I forgot to add the Gmail. So it's podcasthoward@gmail.com. Please let me know what Brain Games is all about. Gordon Ramsay. Now, I have watched some Gordon Ramsay shows. Gordon Ramsay, Uncharted, haven't watched this particular iteration of a Gordon Ramsay show, and they're going to have new episodes. National Geographic expands its partnership with Gordon Ramsay with a 3rd season pickup of Gordon Ramsay Uncharted, ahead of the upcoming season 2 premiere on June 7th. So they've given Gordon Ramsay another season before the 2nd season even starts. That's how much they like his show, and they're, I guess, betting on it. The all-new episodes will feature Gordon Ramsay continuing his journey across the globe, embarking on exhilarating missions to unearth world cultures through food and adventure. Familiar ground for Ramsay following his hit UK series, Gordon's Great Escapes. Okay, we've all seen this show. It sounds a lot like Anthony Bourdain's show. Although apparently Gordon Ramsay has done things like this too. I'm only familiar with him yelling at people in the kitchen. But so it should be interesting. I'm sure it's great. He obviously got good ratings for them to renew him. I hope Gordon Ramsay shows the cultures that he goes to visit the same respect that Anthony Bourdain did. I didn't watch Anthony Bourdain enough to say that I was a fan of his, but one thing I was very impressed about his demeanor on the show is that he seemed to show a great level of respect for the different cultures that he went to visit and the food they prepared. So hopefully Gordon Ramsay will do the same and not yell at them like he does on Hell's Kitchen. And finally, Running Wild with Bear Grylls. National Geographic is officially the new home of the wildly popular hit series Running Wild with Bear Grylls, now picked up for a 2nd season. The new season, which includes a new celebrity lineup of adventurers, will transport viewers across remote locations in the U.S. and around the world, where celebrities will push beyond their limits to see if they can endure the harsh landscapes in their high-octane, action-based, fear-tackling journeys. The intrepid cast members will face their deepest fears and confront everything from wild animals to rock repelling as they journey through some of the world's most unforgiving wilderness. All right. Well, again, like I said before, I've only seen clips of Bear Grylls' show on, I guess, when he happens to be on another talk show and they show a clip of him with, somebody, Jennifer Aniston or something, and they're drinking their own urine or something ridiculous like that. Now, I can see why some of these celebrities or people who normally don't do this for like myself, I could see maybe wanting to test myself going out in the wilderness with Bear Grylls. I don't think anyone would want to see me necessarily rappelling off a rock and drinking my urine or squeezing the moisture out of some kind of beast's feces in the wilderness, which I saw him doing on the clip I happened to catch. But I guess people do like seeing the, stars or people who they feel like they know through some other form of media, do this, and somehow they can relate to it. I don't know. I wouldn't have minded pitching this show, but I certainly am not going to watch it. It's obviously a show that can get sponsorship, so more power to them. And if you're new to the show, I say this now and then. I always want to emphasize this. Now, I will speak badly of a show that I've watched, but if I have never watched the show and I just don't understand why anyone would watch it, I am not recommending that you don't watch it. As a matter of fact, I wish success on most of these shows because whether I understand it or not, a lot of people work very hard to put these things on the air for compensation to feed their families. And so I am not going to be the one to say, don't watch this show just because I don't understand the concept or it's not something that I would find entertaining. But I have to tell you, seeing somebody squeeze feces into a glass, the juice, and doing something to it so you could not die is not entertaining to me. Next, we're going to be visiting a different type of wilderness. We're going to be visiting RuPaul's side of the world. We're going to go to the drag race. Y'all go get some refreshments. We're going to pay some bills. I'll be right back. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. Keith keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know from pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
All right. You ever worn drag, Jack? Neither have I. Your legs would look kind of good, though. All right, I'm back. Hold on to the edge of your seat, squirrel friends. The 5th season of RuPaul's Drag Race, All Stars, is being shaken up.
Yes.
This season, there are new ways to get eliminated and new rules when it comes to lip syncing for one's legacy. VH1 announced Thursday. Now, for those of you who aren't as old as I am, VH1 used to be a music channel just like MTV, but now it's populated with reality shows like RuPaul's Drag Race. Instead of selecting the top 2 queens of the week and having them perform opposite each other, as has been a tradition on the All-Stars, which is a spin-off of the original Drag Race franchise, that's how much RuPaul is balling out of control. And I am saying that a little snarky, but I have a load of respect for RuPaul. Anyone who's been able to amass and create the career that he has, it's masterful. Host and executive producer RuPaul will select only one top all-star per episode, which I'm assuming was different. Maybe he picked like the top 3 before, but now my man is like, I'm just picking one. Then that queen will lip sync against a mysterious lip sync assassin.
You better work.
This was excellent. All right, I can repeat that. He's going to lip sync against a mysterious lip sync assassin, as the Viacom network puts it. Who are these special guests? Some of the most iconic performers from past seasons. If the competing queen wins the lip sync, she wins a $10,000 tip and the power to eliminate the bottom queen of her choice. But if she loses to the assassin, a bottom queen selected from a secret group vote will be sent packing, kick rocks, and the money will roll over, raising the winnings when a top queen does win. RuPaul is making this like dog eat dog. You better work. RuPaul previously called this twist so twisted, it's guaranteed to twist your twisted minds. And it looks like it's a twist that will stick around for seasons to come, as RuPaul says. All-Star rules have been suspended forever. He says that in the new season trailer, which you can also watch on YouTube. As if you have more time to waste after listening to this podcast. But if you do, go to YouTube and waste some more time and watch that trailer. And RuPaul say what I just said. But that's not all the Drag Race news. No. VH1 has more. VH1 also announced celebrity guest judges for the season. What? Led by Ricky Martin, naturally, who will appear in the season premiere episode. Other judges this season include Tessa Thompson. Wow, Tessa Thompson, she has a great agent. I mean, she's very talented, but she's everywhere. Martin Lawrence Bullard, who I have no idea who that is. Nicole Byer, Sarah Hyland, Tommy Dorfman, I don't know who any of these people are, Jeffrey Bowyer Chapman, BB Rexa, Jane Krakowski, who I know, and as I confessed on this show before, I have a crush on Jane Krakowski, Sam Richardson, Todrick Hall, and Madison Beer, who recently competed on RuPaul's Secret Celebrity Drag Race. Oh, my goodness. RuPaul is the man. Can I repeat the name of that show? I just got to. RuPaul's Secret Celebrity Drag Race. Wow. Michelle Visage, Carson Kressley, and Ross Matthews return as permanent judges as well. As previously announced, the competing queens on this season, you didn't know this segment was going to be this long about RuPaul's Drag Race, did you? As previously announced, the competing queens on this season include Alexis Mateo, Blair St. Clair, Derek Barry, India Farah, Jubilee, all right, let me try this, Mariah Paris Balenciaga, Mayhem Miller, Ms. Cracker, golly, oh no, Angina, and Shea Coulee. Damn. This is, no wonder people watch this show. The upcoming 5th season of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars was at first announced to be airing on Showtime, but it has moved back to VH1 and will premiere on June 5th. The season premiere episode will feature a reading mini challenge and a Werg the World runway extravaganza. Damn. Leading up to that premiere is a RuPaul Drag Race All-Stars marathon consisting of all episodes from the previous 4 seasons beginning Saturday, May 30th at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so get up at 6 a.m. on Saturday, May 30th, and go straight to your television set and turn on RuPaul's Drag Race and sit there all the way through to Sunday, May 31st at 11 p.m. And that's going to be on Logo. That was a mouthful. All praise goes to RuPaul. RuPaul is balling out of control. And here is some more breaking news. Prodigal Son, which I have clowned a couple times on this show, is returning to the Fox fold. The network has renewed the Michael Sheen and Tom Paine serial killer drama for a second season. Precisely where Prodigal Son will fit into Fox's 2020-2021 slate remains to be seen, as the network already set a fall schedule anchored by acquisitions like LA's Finest, which we've talked about on the show as well. LA's Finest is the spinoff of the Bad Boys franchise. I'm not going to get into that again. Some other shows that had been mentioned in the previous schedule that they'd announced had been The Masked Singer and scripted series that had been held back from last season like Next and Filthy Rich. Given the coronavirus production shutdown, sources say that season 2 of Prodigal Son will most likely appear sometime mid-season. So they'll probably be somewhere in October or something like that, maybe early November. All right, let me read you this quote and then from the press release, and then I'll give you my 2 cents. Quote, "From the moment Prodigal Son premiered, fans have been captivated by its astounding performances turned in by Tom Paine and Michael Sheen, as they go head-to-head in one of the most unique family relationships on television," said Fox President of Entertainment, Michael Thorne. Now listen to the plot. Prodigal Son follows Malcolm Bright. He's played by Tom Paine, a psychologist who has a gift for understanding how serial killers think, because his father, Dr. Martin Whitley, that's Michael Sheen, was one of the worst and notorious serial killers ever, called the Surgeon. Bright is the best criminal psychologist around, and murder is the family business. He uses his twisted genius to help NYPD solve crimes for his longtime mentor, NYPD Detective Gail Arroyo, played by Lou Diamond Phillips, he just showed up again, all while dealing with his manipulative mother, Jessica, and his seemingly normal sister, Ainsley, and a homicidal father still looking to bond with his prodigal son. Okay, like I said earlier in this podcast, I've never watched this show, so I'm not going to tell you not to watch the show, and I may be totally wrong about this. But from what I'm reading here, and from what I could see on the commercials, which is why I don't watch it, this is pretty much the Will Graham story if Will Graham had been the son of Hannibal Lecter. I mean, he's everything that this Malcolm Bright is, except for related to the serial killer who he has to consult with to solve crimes. So that's what this story seems to me. And it's nothing wrong with revamping a tried and true plot. They do it all the time in television, but you got to do a little bit better than this. This is barely hidden, it seems to me. Now, if I'm totally wrong, I'll be the first to tell you, but I don't think I am. And Michael Sheen, who is a great actor, probably is carrying this series and can make it worth the watch. However, come on, do something a little bit more original than this. You just heard about all the changes RuPaul made in his show. RuPaul is like changing up reality drag television. He's an innovator. This is just this is revamping something it's already been done. So with that, I am going to go to the next segment and tell you what ABC has in store for you this fall. The Fox network had a great 2019-2020 season, so they certainly don't need me to tell them about their programming. So go get a refill. I'll be right back after we play some messages. See you soon.
You better work.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, let's get this thing going. You get a drink? Cool. All right, we're at that time of the year when the networks are all letting us know what shows they're going to bring back and what new shows they're going to drop for the fall. Some of this has been pushed back, of course, because of the coronavirus. But this is another segment where I do that, and this time the network is ABC. ABC announced this new and returning shows for 2021, the 2021 season. They did this last Thursday. So, first up, I'm going to go over, this isn't what I did with CBS, because they didn't list it night by night and what the lineup's going to be. This is just a list of these shows that ABC is bringing back for the fall. So here we go. And they are in alphabetical order. They certainly aren't in order of preference as far as I'm concerned, because most of them I haven't seen, to be quite honest again. But here we go. The first one is American Housewife, a show that I have not seen, of course. Well, but it starts off with an A, so that's first on our list. The second one is The Bachelor. The Bachelor will never go off the air unless for some reason that type of game show or what they call unscripted show becomes illegal, because it just pulls in the numbers. It'll always be around. Next one is Blackish. Blackish is a show that gets good ratings. I'm very happy for Anthony Anderson and all those folks who put that show together. It's still going along. Number 4 is The Conners. Now, The Conners is, of course, the Roseanne show that was revamped after Roseanne got her butt kicked off of her own show by drunk tweeting or whatever it was she did. That's the show that's there. Next, Dancing with the Stars, another show that seems to keep on going. Next one is The Goldbergs, another show I haven't watched. A Million Little Things. Mixed-ish, which I am quite surprised was renewed. Not that I again, haven't seen Mixed-ish. Just sounded like kind of a reach. I read a few articles of people that like Mixed-ish, so good for them. And again, as I always say on this show, I'm very happy for the people who are actors on the show, who are part of the production companies, who are the showrunners, all of that. I'm not trying to put anybody out of work. I just don't understand why people watch some of these shows. The Rookie is next. Shark Tank is coming back. That's no surprise. Stumptown. The Colby Smulders show that I have not watched. I've read some of the graphic novels. Kind of like the graphic novel. Haven't seen the live action. It's coming back, so I'm assuming it's good. 2020, the news magazine, those are always going to come back. And the reboot of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, these shows on this list were already announced as renewals, and I'm just going to repeat them for you. Grey's Anatomy, which is a Hall of Fame zombie show that's been on forever and ever. Station 19, which I understand is a spinoff of Grey's Anatomy. The Good Doctor is coming back. America's Funniest Home Videos, a show that I have never understood why it's been so popular, other than it's good family entertainment. It's not entertainment for me, but that is coming back. American Idol, of course, is coming back. And no surprise if The Bachelor's coming back. You know The Bachelorette is coming back as well. Now, ABC had also previously announced a series order for the revival of Supermarket Sweep, hosted by Leslie Jones. I'm happy for Leslie Jones again. Never seen Supermarket Sweep, as well as its summer game show slate. Now, I have no idea what is on its normal summer game show slate, but that's coming back. Now, the drama series Emergence and the comedies Schooled and Bless This Mess and Single Parents have all been canceled. Along with the Tiffany Haddish hosted revival of Kids Say the Darndest Things. Well, I can't say I'm sad to see that go. And I would feel bad for Tiffany Haddish if it wasn't for the fact that that was probably just side money for her, because she's on everything right now. You know, that was probably, that was a condo for Tiff. I'm sure she would have liked that money, but I don't know if she really was down with that show. The show probably wasn't the best. Okay, now there is a first-year drama called For Life, which appears to be about a inmate, a lifer, hence the name For Life, who seems to be fighting for his appeal and he's representing himself in court. I got all that from the commercials. Have never watched it. It's another show where you have a British actor playing an American. The guy's a very good actor. Nicholas Pinnock, I believe is his name. I saw him in a BBC production, a series called Marcella. He's very good. Again, just surprised that why do we, I don't want to take anything from British actors. I don't, but it seems like we can't find Americans to play these American roles. These guys, they just rather get these Brits to do it and have them speak what, to my ear, usually very seldom do these guys go out of character. They can do American accents pretty well. Sometimes when they get upset when they have to do a scene where they're crying or they're yelling, you hear a little bit of that Brit come out, or especially if they're Irish actors, a lot of times it'll come out. But they're great actors, I hate to say, but they are. So anyway, we don't know what's going to happen to that one. Also, the series The Baker and the Beauty, which I talked about a couple of months ago, it seems, on this show. No one knows if that's coming back. I have not seen The Baker and the Beauty. Now, in terms of new shows, ABC has already given a straight-to-series order to the drama Big Sky. Why? Because it's coming from David E. Kelley. And David E. Kelley knows what he's doing when it comes to creating network television. So there you have it. The network will announce its schedule for 2020 at a later date. I will come back with that for you guys when I have it. Now, in the next segment, I'm going to go over the top 100, well, actually the top 25 of the top 100 shows by viewership. Okay, according to, I got them out of Variety. Surprise for you guys who listen to the show. However, along with this list, Variety decided to give categories of winners and losers of this last season. So I'm going to review, this is not necessarily my list, although I agree with it, of who Variety, what shows they think were winners and losers for the 2019-2020 season. So let's start with the winners. They say one of the winners is 90 Day Fiancé. Now, before people were talking about Tiger King, it was TLC's 90 Day Fiancé franchise that had taken the crown as TV's most popular guilty pleasure. Yes, there are 3 different editions of 90 Day Fiancé that made the top 100 this year. You got regular 90 Day Fiancé. You got 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days and 90 Day Fiancé the other way. What the differences are, I have no idea. Another winner, seems like a winner every year, is the NFL. It dominated as usual with Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, and Monday Night Football all being in the top 5 of viewership of the shows this year. That's crazy. And their last winner is who? My guy, Dick Wolf. Everything's coming up Dick Wolf. His FBI Most Wanted is the season's most watched new series, and in total viewers, he clocks 4 out of the 8 most watched scripted series in prime time. Dick Wolf knows what he's doing. His 3 Chicago shows for NBC, 2 FBI shows for CBS remain durable franchises, and like I said, you can expect to see FBI human trafficking, FBI narcotics, FBI puppy mills. You'll see every iteration of FBI possible until it peters out. Losers. It was a tough one for comedy this year. I think the situation comedy is the lost art in my personal assessment. Young Sheldon is the most watched comedy in prime time. It's ranked at number 9, very high, but that tells you a little something because I don't think Young Sheldon is going down in the pantheon of great situation comedies. And last but not least, the loser is The Walking Dead. Now, it's a loser with a qualification. The Walking Dead continues to be a top-rated cable entertainment program, but remember, it used to be the number 1 show. Now it keeps sliding down, and this is the first year it's been out of the top 10. It's at number 11. So the zombies are petering away, finally. And that's it for the winners and losers. I'll be back next segment with the top 100 rated series, but actually just the top 25. We don't have enough time to go to the top 100. Go get another refill, maybe order a pizza, and I'll be back soon after we pay a few bills. Thanks for listening.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right. No, we don't have time to do all 100. I don't think they want to hear all 100. The bottom of the list I've never even heard of. All right, we're back. Here we go. I'm going to go over a list of the top 25 out of the top 100 shows by viewership. That's how this is ranked for the 2019-2020 TV season. Now, you'll be excused if you didn't realize that the 2019-2020 TV season ended last Wednesday night, because I just found that out myself. Since the world has been on lockdown and the pandemic has drastically changed the look and the feel of prime time over the past few weeks, everything seems a bit off kilter, but the season did end. And with a good old-fashioned huge rating event, the season 3 finale, The Masked Singer, that was officially the last show of the season, and it did all right. Well, The Masked Singer does all right. Again, blows me away, but The Masked Singer, whoever came up with that, they're probably getting a bonus. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to go from number 25 up to number 1, because that's the way we usually do these lists. Now, because there are some ties in here, we are not actually going from number 25. There is a tie for number 23. That's the lowest number we're going to go. There is a 5-way tie for number 23 on this list. And I'm going to start with A Million Little Things on ABC. Now the number I'm going to give you, I know some of you don't like numbers. I'm not going to give you that ratings number because it doesn't mean anything to you. I'm just going to talk about the average number of people that watch it every time it airs. A Million Little Things on ABC averages 2.02 million people every time it airs. And that's the number for these number 23 ones on the list. You got A Million Little Things, The Voice Tuesday, The Connors, American Horror Story on FX, and Young Sheldon, which is the most watched sitcom, I want y'all to know, on there. So that's, or scripted sitcom. And so that's, that tells you something. It's only number 23 on the bottom. Now tied for number 19, because we have all those double ups down there, are New Amsterdam on NBC, American Idol Monday, ABC, NCIS on CBS, and Chicago Med, Dick Wolf Show on NBC. All of those shows average approximately 2.2 million viewers every time they come on the air. Tied at number 16, we have a three-way tie. The Voice on NBC, 911 Lone Star on Fox, and The Good Doctor on ABC. They average 2.3 million viewers every time they're on. We're getting up there to the top, near the top 10, because you got a lot of ties here. Tied at number 11 are 5. And it is Lego Masters on Fox. Did not even know there was such a show, but apparently a lot of people do. Modern Family on ABC. And that one, this rating is based off of their finale, not necessarily their weekly average, because Young Sheldon beats them out on the weekly average. Chicago Fire on NBC, Survivor on CBS, and The Walking Dead on AMC at its all-time low of 11, which is still great for a lot of shows, but not for The Walking Dead. They all average pretty close to 2.5 million viewers every outing. Now we're going to the top 10. At number 10, all by itself, is the Dick Wolf production of Chicago PD on NBC. It averages 2.6 million viewers every time out of the gate, and is, by all indication, a very popular show. Number 8 has a tie. There's a two-way tie at number 8. That's why we have no number 9. And it is 911 on Fox and Grey's Anatomy, which just, my head is exploding. That is still a top 10 show. People love Grey's Anatomy. And both of them average almost 3 million viewers every time out of the gate. Grey's Anatomy is just a little tick over 911 on Fox, but they tied them both at 8 for that. Number 7 on this list, all by its lonesome, is The Bachelor on ABC. The Bachelor averages 3.1 million viewers every time it's on the air. So, good for The Bachelor. Great for The Bachelor, as a matter of fact. I have to admit, it's another show that I have never seen a single minute of it. Although I have, on all these, on the news shows, or sometimes when I'm tuning into something else and I catch the end of maybe an Entertainment Tonight or Inside Hollywood or something like that, they'll have a clip of whoever won The Bachelor or whoever The Bachelor chose, or however that thing works. But anyway, great show. People seem to like it. At number 5, you got a two-way tie. 4, This Is Us on NBC, and The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan 10-episode documentary on ESPN. Now, I'll make 2 comments here. Number 1, This Is Us. I know for someone who does the TV podcast, you're probably like, dude, you don't watch any of these shows. But I have never watched This Is Us. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. I probably have earlier on another episode, but I will tell you why. I don't watch This Is Us because when people told me I need to watch This Is Us because it's such a good show, they tell me, oh, I love This Is Us. I cried so much. I love This Is Us. Oh, man, I couldn't stop crying. Well, good. I can appreciate that it's a good show, that it moved you to tears, but I'm going to choose to use my hour that I'm killing my brain cells, not evoking sadness out of my eyes or even tears of joy. I just choose not to cry in front of the television set if I can help it. Sometimes it happens because I don't know. I didn't expect it. But you're telling me This Is Us. This is the reaction it will evoke. So you got too bad. I'm not watching it. So that's not why I don't watch This Is Us. I understand it's a good show. The Last Dance, I did watch the whole documentary. If you want to call it documentary in quotes, it was entertaining because, I'm a basketball fan. I was a young adult in that era. So it brought back a lot of memories. But as documentaries go, it really wasn't a documentary because Michael Jordan was one of the producers. So I don't know how objective it was, but it was just a great TV show to watch. It was very entertaining. So, it doesn't matter whether it was 100% accurate or not, or it was a documentary in the purest sense. It was good entertainment. ESPN, in this time when no sports are running, they were so lucky to have that in the can where they could just pull it out, and they ended up in the top 10. So good for ESPN. Number 4 is The Masked Singer on Fox. Again, this is why I'm not a TV executive, or at least a guy who greenlights things. I think I could be a showrunner or a creator, but I certainly am not the guy to greenlight shows, because this is a show. If they came in and told me this is what you're pitching, I'd say, go out and do something better. Go out and bring me a show I can put on television. This show, 4.1 million viewers every time it's out. Congratulations to the people who put together The Masked Singer. And the top 3, and I mentioned it at the end of last segment. I think the end of last segment I said it was in the top 5. Well, the fact of the matter is the top 3 shows in the 2019-2020 season are all NFL. Number 3 is NFL Monday Night Football on ESPN. Number 2 is NFL Thursday Night Football on Fox. And number 1 show last season, 2019-2020, is NFL Sunday Night Football on NBC. The first 2, number 3 has 5.3 million per views. That's Monday Night Football. Thursday Night Football, 5.8 million people. Sunday Night Football gets 7.8, almost 8 million viewers every time out of the gate for NBC. The NFL rules, and I don't know what's going to happen with this, this quarantine and distancing and the virus, but this is a major cash cow for the networks and the NFL. They hope that they're going to have a season. We'll see what's going to happen. This is a big one, as you can see. And that's it for the top 25 shows from last season. I'm going to go find some more breaking news. You guys go do whatever you got to do. We're going to play these ads so we can make some money, and we'll all meet here in a couple of minutes. Thanks for listening.
Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. Together we dive into the world of sci-fi and science fiction. From episodes of Star Trek, Star Wars, to The Walking Dead, Resident Evil, all the hot new science fiction movies from the backdoors of Marvel or DC. The Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. You'll never look at science fiction the same way again.
All right, okay. That's cold. That's cold water. Well, we're back, and you know how it always seems to be lately on the show, I'm talking about the coronavirus pandemic and how it's shutting things down and how Disney took a financial hit and how there are no sports teams playing and all that. Well, the NBA wants to put an end to that, and the Disney Corporation, although they're doing some things with Disney Plus, and we've been talking about that on the show, they are trying to find ways that they can compensate for the fact that their theme parks have been shut down and they haven't been able to make money in the restaurant and hospitality business since March. Well, here's some breaking news about that. The National Basketball Association said Saturday that it was engaged in exploratory conversations with the Walt Disney Company about a plan to resume the 2019-2020 season, the latest in a parade of efforts by big sports leagues and media companies to get live games in play after the devastating economic effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The two parties are exploring the potential to hold NBA games at Walt Disney's ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex, a vast facility located in the company's Disney World complex near Orlando. Mike Bass, the league's chief communications officer, said in a statement, All right, now check this out. Under the plan, the Disney property would be utilized as a single site for an NBA campus for games, practices, and housing. So all the teams would go there and live. It would almost be like an Olympics for professional basketball. The season, which was suspended in March, could potentially resume in late July. The spokesman said the league was, quote, working with public health experts and government officials on a comprehensive set of guidelines to ensure that appropriate medical protocols and protections are in place, end quote. Well, this is pretty big. It's real creative. And one of the things that's going to come out of this very unfortunate and tragic situation of COVID-19 pandemic is that people have learned different ways. We all as in a society have learned different ways to work and different ways to bring entertainment to people. Okay. I'll talk about it later on. I go on this broadcast about streaming and how streaming is going to, because we've all had to be locked down, it's changed the way we are going to receive our entertainment. Although I have a story coming up that might say I might have jumped the gun on that. But as far as sporting events are concerned, for years, there's been scuttlebutt. There's been talk that ultimately, especially NFL football, would end up being played in a studio. That people are more and more, as TV screens get larger, as these productions get bigger and camera work and they have booms and drones and all those things covering the game, the fan experience might be better ultimately if it was done remotely. Now, you can never replicate the live sporting experience. I get it. You can't have tailgating from your home. You can't, just have a group experience from your home. But that group experience is becoming more and more impractical and inconvenient the way our society is evolving. So what's happened because of this pandemic is that things that might have taken place or progressed 20 years in the future from now have been sped up. And so this is actually a test run to see if a sports league can be run out of a studio. And that's going to be an interesting experiment to see. Now, I understand there are some big stadiums around the country, and they're really not good for much of anything other than concerts and sporting events. And so we'll see what happens. If there's a vaccine that comes out in the next year or so that proves to be very effective, this whole thing might be back to business as usual for the most part. However, if not, this might work. This might be the way we consume certain leagues and certain sports in the future. Just saying. Other sports have unveiled plans to return to the field. Fox last weekend broadcast the first NASCAR race to take place in weeks, with no fans allowed in the stands. The PGA Tour intends to launch new matches in June, and those activities do not require a large group of players to come in close contact with each other to facilitate gameplay. Basketball, as well as hockey, football, and baseball, well, it does. So that's why we have to come up with these very antiseptic ways for these players or these leagues to do their thing. Disney is particularly attuned to the vicissitudes of restoring the NBA to the court. ESPN, one of the main pillars of Disney's business, holds the right to broadcast NBA games along with AT&T's Warner Media. Disney's ABC benefits each June by airing highly watched NBA Finals. The NBA Finals pull in big numbers. Disney has said the lack of live sports matches represents a significant factor in its ability to generate live viewership and capture advertising dollars. So, and money drives everything. And like I said, Disney took a big financial hit in their non-streaming part of their business, which was the core of was really all of their business was the hospitality business and sports entertainment business, because Disney Plus just launched last November. So luckily they had Disney Plus that they can use to sort of inject some life, some cash flow into their business until they figured out how to get this other side up and running. So this is a pretty creative way to do it. The ESPN complex, the one that's going to be used for the NBA games, sits on a 220-acre piece of land in Florida. It includes 3 different indoor arenas. The Walt Disney Company, there's a quote, the Walt Disney Company has a great long-standing relationship with the NBA, end quote, the company said in a statement without elaborating on how Disney facilities might be utilized. Several big leagues are mulling plans to resume play or hold a full season or as full a season as possible. Major League Baseball is really in a jam. The MLB will probably have a shortened season once they figure out how they can get up and running. And the NFL recently unveiled its intention to start a full 2020-21 season in September. It's going to be very interesting to see how they pull that one off. Okay, and here's my last bit of breaking news, and I alluded to it earlier. We got the numbers in on Scoob and Capone, sort of. Now, ever since Trolls World Tour decided to stream instead of going to theaters because of the stay-at-home orders, it's been sort of a thought in the industry, definitely a thought on this show, that more movies would go straight to streaming than in the theater, which obviously got theater owners upset. They were pissed at Universal for doing that. And our guy, John Fithian, who I always talk about on this show, made that very clear. Well, Scoob, which was the Scooby-Doo movie, and Capone, which was the Tom Hardy movie about the last days of Al Capone, both were scheduled to go into theaters. They were going to go into theaters during May, but obviously all the theaters are closed, so they decided to go straight to premium video on demand. Well, Capone, in 10 days, only made $2.5 million. Now, one of those weekends, it was the number one show in video on demand, but still, it only made $2.5 million. That's nothing. Now, granted, it wasn't promoted or advertised very well by Vertical Entertainment. That's the studio that made and distributed the picture. As a matter of fact, some of my movie-going friends didn't even know that there was a new Tom Hardy movie out right now. That's how poorly it was promoted. Now, Warner Brothers' animated release, the Scooby-Doo movie, has been number one for the last 2 weekends, but they haven't released numbers. So here's my thoughts about that. Either they're not releasing numbers because they're bad, or they're not releasing numbers because they're so good, and they don't want to upset the theater owners anymore and kind of rub it in their face. I don't know. I tend to think that they were probably pretty good, too. Maybe not as good as Trolls World Tour. You got to understand, Scooby-Doo is sort of an old-school cartoon. So, I don't know how many families decided to get that as opposed to pick up the Trolls thing. But until we see the numbers from Scoob, we can't really be sure what this streaming thing is going to do. Regular listeners to my show know that I was bullish. I am bullish on streaming. I happen to think the Scoob numbers are good, but until we see them, we won't know. I will confess I said that I thought that Capone was going to do better than Legend, which was Tom Hardy's other movie that was in the theaters. I might be, obviously, I'm probably wrong about that. But we'll see how streaming does ultimately, because we got some big movies coming up that they are going to definitely hold out for the theater. Dune, Tenet, Mulan, Wonder Woman, No Time to Die, which is the Bond flick, and Black Widow. So we're going to have to see how they do in the theaters, and that'll tell the tale. anyway, next we're going to go over, I'm going to recap Billions for you. Stay tuned. Go get some refreshments. I'll be right back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
All right. Billions, baby. All right. You ready? Yeah. Welcome back. All right. We're going to talk about Billions now. We're up to episode 4. On season 5, I've liked how this season started. I will say that I think this has been the weakest this episode 4 was the weakest episode so far. Doesn't mean it was a bad episode, just not as good as the first 3. This episode's titled Opportunity Zone. I would say that Missed Opportunity Zone would be a better title, because I think that there were a lot of things that could have been done with this episode, but, you know, during the course of a season, they always have to, it seems like shows will catch their breath in an episode, kind of reset the board, and I think that's what this episode was. This episode begins with Axe tossing the basketball with a neighborhood kid in Yonkers. It's a low-income suburb of New York City. It's where Axe grew up. And he's talking to this kid who apparently lived in his old house. His childhood reminiscing seems to go over pretty well with Savion, which is the name of the kid he's playing basketball with. He's played by this young actor named Akili McDowell, who I've never seen before, but he was really good. Akili Savion, he's a black teenager. And as I said before, he lives in the same house that Axe grew up in. And Axe is waxing nostalgic about the neighborhood, and a reporter, oh, by the way, coincidentally happens to approach, and he whips out his handy iPhone, and he asks, can I record this? Of course, Axe says, sure. And he hits record just in time to film Axe saying, I have Yonkers to thank for my success. Now, Damian Lewis, the actor that plays Bobby Axelrod, delivers the line very dryly. Then he says it with a generous dollop of faux working class accent. I mean, Bobby hasn't been in Yonkers for a long time. And, you know, if a voice could wink, this one is loud and clear. Axe has that look in his eye that if anyone has been paying attention to this show knows that there is a play going on here. You know, he ran away from Yonkers as a young man. He worked to get out of there. He went back to the old hood to see his guy who owned the pizza shop and all of that, but he certainly worked hard to get out of Yonkers and live uptown in Manhattan, where he lives right now. Now, Savion's mom flings the window open, as one tends to do in New York, to call their kid in. It's time to come in, and Axe tells her, we need to get together and talk. I'll come over and bring dinner. In fact, I'll have my chef fix us dinner some night soon. So that kind of set the table for Axe trying to reestablish himself in the old neighborhood. Meanwhile, we go to Chuck, who is played by Paul Giamatti, who is positively psyched as his new gig because he's going to be a professor at Yale Law School, if you remember. And he arrives at the campus. He's very happy. He's like a little kid on the first day of school. Now, visually, it's nice. I've never been to Yale nor been to the law school, but definitely different setting than we're used to in Billions, because we're usually in some sort of high-rise office, very nice office, or brownstone in Brooklyn, but definitely not the city. This is a very laid-back Ivy League setting. It's kind of refreshing. And it's good to see Chuck in a different mode. This storyline, which I'm sure the importance of it will be revealed later on down the line. Right now, it seems the sole purpose of him being there is to let the writer's room get some cheap shots in at Yale law students. Because they're portrayed as a bunch of soft Gen Zers who are entitled little bitches. That's it. I mean, I saw nobody in there that's very impressive other than to whine. Which they might be. They might be all those things I just said. But the Billions writer's room sure didn't help lead me from not thinking that. They didn't give them a break. I didn't see one student that I thought was like, wow, that's an impressive young lady or young man. I'm like, these are all whiny little entitled kids. So, I don't know. If I was a Yale law student, I'd be a little upset about that. But anyway, Juliana Margolis of The Good Wife, she is now in Billions, and her character is introduced. She is another law professor at the law school. Unfortunately, from my point of view, she didn't inject any much needed adrenaline into the show. You know, she kind of came on with a whimper, I felt. I mean, she was just there. Now, she is a presence as an actress. I will give her that. I mean, when she comes on the screen, you're saying, oh, that's Juliana Margolis. You know, what's she going to do? And she really didn't do a whole lot that I felt, you know, which was kind of, hopefully they'll have more for her in the future, because right now all she does is sell us on the idea that she really doesn't have much to work with as far as her students are concerned. She delivers stolid jokes toward her students. Like, I'm honestly surprised that any of you took so long to mention privilege when she asked the question. And then her gentle ribbing of Chuck seems to, presage a flirtation of some sort, which also, frankly, I think is a little bit forced, that it looks like she and Chuck might have a little rendezvous or something. I don't know. But it was just, it's a little disappointing to me in television shows that men and women, I understand they only have a few hours to deliver a season. I get that. But it just seems like that if a man and a woman in these shows share a scene by themselves, there's always some sort of sexual tension. Now I can see the man hitting on the woman, and that unfortunately that happens probably way too often. But it just seems like you can almost tell from the first 2 seconds of the scene, oh, these two are getting together, which I don't think life really works out like that. But it's painfully obvious that her character is being floated as a Wendy replacement who can hold her own in front of a court of law. Now, Chuck certainly is in need of some distraction, but it seems a little too perfect for a show that once delighted in the messiness of life. Meanwhile, Sackler, who is the assistant district attorney that works with Chuck, may finally get something to do, because she's been on the show for a long time and hadn't had much to do. Her father, played by the actor Harry Lennox, he's the guy who's going to go into business with Axe to try to get this opportunity zone in Yonkers, despite her warning her father, don't get in business with Axe because he's dirty and we're after him. But no doubt she'll have to probably save her father at one point. That's another very telegraphed plot point I see. And she's probably going to have to compromise herself in the process, because nothing on Billions is ever done very clean. Now, Condoleezza Rashad, that actress, has been with Billions since day one, like I said. She's a 4-time Tony nominee. She's a really good actress. And she's probably one of the most underutilized people on the show. So hopefully this little subplot will give her something to do finally, and she won't just be an also-ran on the show, because I think they're really, wasting her. The only hint that the show had any of its old sense of playfulness now falls entirely on the shoulders of Wags, and he's played by David Constable. Wags has been frantically trying to reconnect with his adult kids, whom he largely ignored throughout their childhoods, so he says. And he delivers one of the best lines, if not the best line of the episode, when he comes in after speaking to his son, who's now a born-again Christian, and he had seen his daughter a few episodes back, and she's a stripper, so he comes into Axe's office and says, "I lost one to the pole and another to Jesus." And Axe asks him, "Which feels worse?" And Wags says, "Feels about the same." That was the best part of the episode to me. Other than the end, the very end, when Axe is going back to his old house to bring his chef, as he said, for the dinner, he has a conversation with Mike Prince, who he just beat for this opportunity zone in Yonkers. And Mike Prince condescendingly says that you should get that place, Axe, because you smell like that place. You're pretty much Yonkers. It wouldn't have been right for me, which is pretty much a backhanded compliment that really did what Mike Prince wanted to do. He wanted to hit Axe where it hurt. Corey Stahl delivered the line perfectly, and it ended in wry Billions fashion. I just thought this episode was an average one. I'm looking forward to the season, though, because it started off really well, and I think the Mike Prince character is a really good one. Corey Stahl is good, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Frank Grillo, who plays the artist Nick, is going to turn out. Unfortunately, yet another one of those scenes where it looks like he and Maggie Siff are going to get together. Again, a man and a woman can't have an interaction alone in a room without suddenly being some sexual tension. Just the way it is on these shows. Anyway, that's it for the GSMC television podcast. We're finished another episode. We're part of the mighty GSMC podcast network. I thank you for listening. I look forward to you coming back later this week, when I will have a recap of the new show I'm watching, Hightown, as well as the breaking news of the week. Do us a favor and subscribe to the podcast so it'll always come up on your feed. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And give me a rating, please. I'd like 5 stars, but give me some feedback. Rate me on whatever platform you're listening to, especially if it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And always, you can email me at podcasthoward@gmail.com so I can get some feedback. My name's Howard Fletcher. I'm here with Jack the Black Pug, my engineer. And we love you guys. Wash your hands. Don't take it too fast. Don't catch anything you don't want to catch. Stay healthy. See you soon. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts podcast network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts podcast network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.